Hey guys, it's Dustin with Cruising Customs. So we do custom automotive upholstery is our primary. This means that we do a lot of color matching and one-off piping and HIDEM. So as far as piping goes, you know, obviously we're talking about sew-in piping. It goes on either around the edge of the seat, it can be built in, it can be stapled into the edge of things, and so on. The second thing we do a lot of is HIDEM, and I don't have an example sitting here. But HIDEM is pretty much a staple and trim piece. So I already did this. 2.5 inches across the whole piece, and then you're going to put a line at 3/4 inch, 1.25 inch, and 1 3/4 inch, and it's going to make 3/4 inch HIDEM. Now, some places that I've seen that talk about making HIDEM, they want you to use a bunch of double-sided tape. I don't really see the necessity of that. I'm going to do it a different way. So let's do that. Here's your contact adhesive. Alright, so as you've seen, I kind of just sprayed that. One thing to keep in mind is you are going to go around the edges a little bit. But when you do that on HIDEM, it gets hidden. So don't worry about that too much, but be cautious when you set it on your surface if you're going to wipe everything off. So obviously, with contact adhesive, you got to give it a second to dry. I just did a very light coat on there because it's not necessary for it to stick super tight on this. With HIDEM, trying to get a better angle here. With HIDEM specifically, you're also stitching it. So while you can't see this because it's too low, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this edge and I'm going to go to the first line. So I'm going to fold that down the whole thing. So we have the first edge folded over. So you're going to end up with something like this. Some instructions are going to tell you that you need to go over and fold the other edge too. So you can do everything at once. I do this sitting right in front of my sewing machine. I usually do half at one time, half at the second time, because either I'm using double-sided tape or this glue method. It's always going to lift sometimes. You can see like over here where it doesn't want to stick as much. I probably just didn't saturate that spot as much with glue, but I obviously didn't want this to be super sticky. So this next step is going to be to fold this to the center, and then you're actually going to put a stitch through here, kind of more towards the outer edge, because then you're going to be able to take a stapler and you're going to go down the center of the two sides when they're both done, and you're going to put a staple in there and pretty much it disappears, if that makes sense. Kind of folds open, put a staple in, it closes. We use it for trimming a lot of things, undersides of boats and stuff like that, where it's hard to make things perfect. You're gonna have to have staples somewhere, and this hides them, hence the HIDEM. Anyways, we'll go to the machine and we'll sew it, and I'll hope I don't run out of bobbin, because I know I didn't fill my bobbins. I'm gonna run out of bobbin. I already feel it. Again, you're folding to the second line. Just cleaning up some glue. Right. Now, I kind of rushed through this piece, so it's not perfect. I'm just here to show you stuff. It doesn't need to be perfect. So, you don't need to lock the ends. You're going to cut this anyways. Something to keep in mind, though, is when you do cut it, try to find a way to staple the ends or staple near the ends. So you can see you have your double folded overs. So your first fold gives you this clean edge. And then the second fold obviously takes that clean edge and puts it to the center, and that's when you stitch it. So now what you can do is you can put this against something, and you open it up and you put your staple inside of there. It's hard to do with a generic stapler. A lot of times you have to have an upholstery stapler or something with a very small end. But at the end of our staple is probably, you know, that wide. It kind of comes to a point almost that way you can sit it down inside of here. It also helps if you have the fray end. Pull it open. You can go through there and staple between their fingers if you trust them. Yeah, you staple a finger sometimes. The other thing is when you use the glue method, sometimes you get glue on stuff. I just take a non-abrasive cleaner, something like a simple green or even a baby white, and I just kind of go over it before that glue really tacks up and dries. You kind of got to be quick with that, but it comes down to what's the use. The double-sided tape works really well too if you have it. You need a good double-sided tape. I have a double-sided tape behind me that I got from like Walmart, and it won't stick to the vinyl. So it sticks great to a shirt or whatever, but not the vinyl. So you kind of got to keep that in mind, is if you can't use it, don't buy it. So anyways, this is your HIDEM, or this is HIDEM in general. We make it custom here because we're always making different color everything. So you know, we can change the stitch color. This is actually not a white, it's an off-white, but this matches the rest of the seats we're working on to a T. I mean, it's the color. It's not a close color. If you order a HIDEM from a website, what they'll do is they will match this to the same material that they have in stock. So you can buy piping, you can buy HIDEM, you can buy the material in a roll. But if your customer doesn't want that color, which is usually a generic white, your generic off-white, red, things like that, your generic colors that are common. If your customer doesn't want that color, you need to know how to make this. The other option is if you get 1/4 inch double-sided tape, then you would put a piece of tape on those outer edges before you fold it over the first time and not the second time. That's going to give you the same effect that we did with the spray glue, but it's a lot cleaner. And if this is something that's going to go on high-end stuff, I'm always going to encourage that, because you can see right there's a little glue spot, and I'm obviously going to try to scrub that off, but you don't want to rely on, oh yeah, I'm going to get that off, especially like the other day when we were doing a boat and we made huge pieces of this. We probably made 15-20 pieces of this because it was for the whole boat, and you just make it all at once. So the last thing you want to do is be over here scrubbing all those pieces, hoping you get them all and hoping you don't miss something. So take your time. Use double-sided tape or the glue method. If you use the glue method, just be cautious of where you're setting this tacky glue. If you set it on your table, scrub your table. That's what I was doing when I restarted the video. Is I had a little bit in front of my sewing machine when I was running this through there. So, you know, if you have an expensive industrial machine like this, probably want to take care of that, because they're, you know, grand plus always. But yeah, that's HIDEM. We're going to be posting a bunch of videos pretty much explaining the little simple things like this, the why we do things, because like this project over here, we use not only pressure treated wood, but we also enamel treated ourselves once it's cut. So the why, the what's, the little tricks, educational. And when you walk into any upholstery shop's door, any of them out there, you don't have to get the 20-minute spiel on why you need to pay for expensive wood, or why you need to pay for UV treated threads if you're doing a giant project and you want color stitching, and why there's up charges on things. You can't use cheap cotton materials on upholstery. I mean, you can. Go look at any cheap seat that's falling apart, or a cheap boat cover that's falling apart. It's almost always that they put cotton threads on it, and the UV has deteriorated it, and now you can reach in there and just shred the thread. The reason we have to buy quality. So yeah, we're going to do more videos, more explanations, more understanding. Because if you understand, you'll understand why we have to charge so much, and why we have to do what we're doing, and why it takes us so long to get a job done. Because these are things that a lot of customers don't understand. So yeah, I'm Dustin. Have a good day.